Raoul Thomas Moat was born on the 17th of June 1973 in Newcastle upon Tyne, England. Moat's early life was marked by instability. His father split from his mother when she was pregnant and he was never allowed to meet Raoul, despite his repeated pleas. Not knowing his father haunted Moat. His mother suffered from severe bipolar disorder and spent extended periods in mental hospitals, leaving Moat and his half-brother to be raised primarily by their grandmother. This turbulent family background contributed to a troubled childhood, though details remain sparse. As an adult, Moat worked as a panel beater, nightclub doorman, tree surgeon, and was a former bodybuilder. He stood at 6 feet 3 inches in height and weighed around 238 pounds, with a reputation for sudden eruptions of anger. Moat was not a clean skin who suddenly snapped. His criminal record included 12 arrests, though only one prior conviction. He harbored a deep grudge against the police, blaming them for ruining his business and life. Moat claimed his hatred of the police stemmed from persecution of his tree surgery business. He alleged they pulled his vans over constantly, hassling him so he couldn't work. To Moat, this wasn't law enforcement, it was a deliberate attempt by the state to bankrupt him and take his children. In 2004, Moat met the mother of his child Samantha, when she was a teenager. He was 15 years her senior, possessive and jealous, with reports of him isolating Samantha from friends and family. Her sister described him as having a Jekyll and Hyde split personality, capable of being charming but also very unpredictable. Moat had mental health struggles, including delusions that he was being stalked by officials. He attempted to seek psychiatric help before the 2010 events, but no extensive treatment details are recorded. In February 2010, Moat was imprisoned in Durham prison for assaulting a relative. He served an 18-week sentence and was released on Thursday, July 1, 2010. Before his release, his relationship had broken down and Samantha had found a new partner called Chris, who was a karate instructor. While inside, his ex-partner Samantha told him, falsely and out of fear, that her new partner, Chris, was a police officer, an untruth that fueled Moat's paranoia. Samantha later expressed that she was very worried, frightened and really scared about his reaction when he was released from prison, knowing he wouldn't accept the end of their relationship. Immediately after release, Moat posted threats on social media and warned prison staff he intended to harm Samantha. Durham Prison alerted Northumbria police about this threat on Friday, July 2. On that same day, Moat was captured on CCTV at a B&Q store in Newcastle, purchasing camping and survival supplies. Authorities intensified warnings about the potential danger he posed. The events began on Saturday, July 3, 2010 in Birtley, Tyne and Weir. In the early hours, Moat discovered where the couple were and found the house that Samantha and her new boyfriend Chris were visiting. He lay in waiting under an open window, listening to Samantha talking about him and warning Chris of the danger. When Chris left the house, Moat saw his chance and sadly, unalived Chris at close range with a sawn-off pew-pew. Moat then turned his attention to Samantha and took aim, piercing the glass window to the living room and striking Samantha in the arm and abdomen. She survived after emergency liver surgery and required police protection throughout her stay in hospital. The next day, Sunday, July 4, Moat targeted police. He tried to unalive PC David Rathband in his patrol car at a roundabout near East Denton, Newcastle, blinding him permanently with facial and head wounds. Moat made taunting 999 calls before and after, complaining police were not taking him seriously and threatening to unalive officers. And spoke about his grievance, saying, "Yous have hassled us, harassed us, yous just won't leave us alone. Now my girlfriend has been having an affair with one of your officers." Even when he discovered Chris wasn't a policeman, he didn't care. In his mind, the police had forced his hand by making him the monster they always claimed he was. This sparked Britain's largest manhunt in modern history, lasting from the 3rd to the 10th of July 2010 across Tyne and Weir and Northumberland. It involved 160 armed officers, a tenth of England's and Wales' firearms capacity, helicopters, dogs, sniper teams, armored vehicles, and even a Royal Air Force Tornado jet for thermal imaging. Reinforcements came from multiple forces including Northern Ireland. On Monday, July 5, Moat robbed the Delaval Fish Bar in Seaton, Northumberland. He entered the shop brandishing a sawn-off pew-pew and demanded money. Approximately £100 was handed over from the till. Police later confirmed this incident helped narrow the manhunt to the Rothbury area. On Tuesday, July 6, Moat's abandoned Lexus was found in Rothbury, Northumberland, triggering a full lockdown. A 2-mile exclusion zone was imposed and residents were told to stay indoors. During the search, on Wednesday, July 7, police discovered abandoned campsites. At Wagtail Farm on Rothbury's outskirts, they found a tent, duvet, sleeping bag and a dictaphone containing a 4-hour recorded message to police. In it, Moat expressed rage over media coverage and threatened to unalive a member of the public for every inaccurate report. At this point a £10,000 reward was offered for information leading to his capture. Another key find was an 8-page letter to Samantha in a tent on Cragside Estate near Cartington, where Moat again insisted Chris had police connections, a claim police denied. Raoul Moat wrote multiple letters to Samantha, expressing a mix of love, anger, and justification for his actions. In a 49-page handwritten letter left with a friend and later handed to police, Moat described how he had eavesdropped on Samantha and her new boyfriend, Chris, for over an hour. He claimed he was driven to events by betrayal, writing, "I can't understand why she pushed me when she knew," he said, blaming her for pushing him to the end point. "She can make it go away, or bring it back. I rely on her to have any normal life." He admitted he did not intend to unalive her, stating, I don't want to unalive. Your shell had less powder, just to give you a surface wound. With a superficial injury she would get massive compensation payout for her and their daughter's future. There would be small scarring, reminding her not to ever do this to anyone again." Moat also expressed remorse, writing, "I am very sorry about Sam. I wish I hadn't taken aim at her. Just make sure she stays alive. I never cheated on her. I wish she had not on me. She pulled the lever by doing so, just as much as me." He also sent her a get well soon card while she was in hospital, containing a sarcastic message, which read, "Well, that'll be a first." The letter and card revealed a deeply conflicted man who saw himself as a victim, despite being the perpetrator of a heinous crime spree. On Thursday, July 8, armed police officers were stationed outside schools in Rothbury to reassure the public. Moat was reportedly sighted in Rothbury that night. The manhunt ended on the evening of Friday, July 9 and into the early hours of Saturday, July 10 near the River Coquette in Rothbury, as Moat was cornered holding a sawn-off pew-pew to his neck. But not before a bizarre turn of events which featured a famous former England footballer, Paul Gascoigne, also known as Gazza. He unexpectedly turned up at the police cordon whilst the police were conducting negotiations with Moat. Gascoigne, who was struggling with severe addiction at the time, later admitted he had been on a heavy binge that night. In a fueled state, he became convinced that he and Moat were close friends, or even brothers, despite the two men having never met or known each other in reality. He believed he could save Moat by talking him down, drawing on his own experiences in rehab, and described himself as the best therapist in the world. He took a taxi to the scene, arriving in what could be described as a dressing gown, carrying a fishing rod, because Moat was near a river and Gazza thought they could go fishing together to calm him. He also brought cooked chicken, some lager, cans of beer, bread, and reportedly a Newcastle United shirt and a mobile phone. He told reporters and police he wanted to offer Moat food, warmth, and support, saying things like "Moaty, it's Gazza," and insisting Moat was cold and starving. Police at the cordon quickly turned him away, telling him to go home. He never got close to Moat or spoke to him directly. Gascoigne left the area, went back to wherever he was staying, and woke up the next morning to hundreds of missed calls and messages, realizing from Sky News coverage what he had done. He later described it as one of the biggest regrets of his life, acknowledging it stemmed from his own chaotic mental state and substance issues rather than any genuine connection. The incident added an absurd, almost farcical layer to an otherwise tragic and terrifying week. But back to the events surrounding Moat. Footage of Raoul Moat's final standoff showed the 37-year-old sitting on a grassy bank surrounded by 9 armed police officers standing just meters away. He was crying and reportedly saying, "I never even had a dad," underscoring the emotional void in his life. After nearly 6 hours of negotiations, including food, water, and an appeal from his friend Tony, 2 officers deployed experimental tasers to subdue him, but they failed. At the same instant, Moat lifted his sawn-off pew-pew and unalived himself at 1:15 a.m. on the 10th of July. 2 men, initially believed to have been hostages, were later found to be accomplices who aided Moat, Carl Ness, 26, and Kurem Arwan, also known as Sean, 23. They supplied the pew-pew, accompanied him during the Bertley incident, and helped search for officers to unalive. In 2011, Carl Ness was brought before the court and received 3 concurrent life sentences and will spend a minimum of 40 years in prison. He subsequently lost an appeal to reduce his tariff and he will not be eligible for release until at least 2051. Kurem Arwan, also known as Sean, was also brought before the court and received 2 concurrent life sentences. He will have to spend a minimum of 20 years in prison, and he will not be eligible for release until at least 2031. Police Constable David Rathband, who was blinded by Moat, struggled profoundly with his injuries and mental health. He founded the Blue Lamp Foundation to support injured emergency workers, but sadly unalived himself at his home in Blythe on the 29th of February 2012, aged 44. In June of the same year, he had been due to carry the Olympic torch as part of the Olympic opening ceremony, with Britain hosting the Games. His daughter took his place, choosing to run blindfolded in his memory. Samantha has quietly rebuilt her life away from the public eye. A 2011 inquest jury found officers acted properly. They did, however, use unapproved tasers, leading to a license revocation for the supplier. The Independent Police Complaints Commission investigation cleared Northumbria Police of wrongdoing in the standoff and intelligence handling, though it expanded scrutiny after the prison warning. The case drew intense criticism of police procedures, armed response, mental health awareness, and support for officers. It contributed to broader discussions on handling high-risk DV cases and threats to police. While not directly responsible, it occurred amid growing calls for better protections, leading to schemes like Clare's Law, the DV Disclosure Scheme, rolled out nationally in 2014 after piloting. Named after Claire Wood, unalived by her ex in 2009, it allows people to make a right to ask inquiry about a partner's abusive history or receive a right to know disclosure from police if they pose a risk. Moat's actions left deep scars and a community shaken by a week of fear. The episode remains a stark reminder of unchecked rage, mental health neglect, and the limits of crisis response. If you found this story interesting, please like and subscribe for more true crime, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section.